Welcome to SNC Tonight. I'm Stacy Washington back with you and welcoming into the program Erika. She's the founder of Optima Ed, faculty member at Leadership Institute School Board Program. Erika, good to see you.
Yeah, so great to be here, Stacy.
So I love that Governor Abbott is prioritizing school choice. He has now told the state legislature, well, he's given him a little bit of an ultimatum. Can you tell us about this?
Yeah, absolutely. Texas is at a crossroads right now, and we see governors leading the way on school choice. We see it now with Governor Abbott, who is demanding that these legislators in the special session pass an ESA, education scholarship bill, or he's not going to let them go home.
So, first off, I kind of wish Governor DeSantis, Governor Youngkin, maybe Governor Abbott could get in and do a workshop. Maybe Leadership Institute could host it. Those three guys could get in and do a workshop for Governor Parson, who's my governor here in Missouri. He's a Republican, but he could use some help on having a little backbone with the state legislature. And what I mean by that is a lot of Republican states have kind of waded into school choice. They've taken some steps to do things for their citizens and for their children. But there are just a few governors, Governor Abbott being one of them, who are very firm and very direct in stating what they want for the students in their state, and then actually taking a step towards making that happen and partnering with the state legislature in that. So, what exactly is he looking to have happen in Texas?
Well, Governor Abbott is looking for what parents are looking for, and that is education freedom. Parents have now realized and are demanding that their children have the opportunity to use the tax dollars allocated to them at the school that works best for them, not assigned by zip code. The government monopoly, the public school system has failed our country. Parents know this and they want high quality school choice options. The only way to do that is through free market competition. And as you've said, there are many different states that have brought forward ESAs, charter schools, private school choice in different formats. We're starting to see the free market work. Every study that has come out looking at the impact of these school choice options has shown that they do increase student performance, not just for students who are in those public school options or private school options, but the public schools as well. The evidence is clear, both from a parent demand standpoint and from the academic performance standpoint. Education freedom is where these governors need to push their legislatures, and that's what Governor Abbott is doing.
So let's talk a little bit more in detail, because for parents who live in states that don't have educational choice, they hear this and they are bombarded with ads and statements from school boards that are left leaning. They are listening to National Education Association and American Federation of Teacher advertisements that tell them that school choice is a euphemism for rich private parents to take their kids and their money out of public schools and to put those resources into areas that are out of reach for regular people. Now, we know this isn't true, but how do we counter that narrative? Because I want to arm people with tools so that they can actually make strong statements in response and correct lies when they're presented to them.
I think it's a great point, Stacey, because if you look at here in Florida, the school choice has historically been targeted for low income families as well as those who are in schools that are underperforming. And we saw huge wait lists for the private school choice programs here in Florida, which is why we needed to expand the program to universal availability. So you had about 100,000 students who were actually in school choice programs, every one of them low income and 90% of them minorities, with another 60,000 waiting in the wings. I always talk about universal choice is the only free market choice. Once these choices are universal, you will see far more options for everyone involved, not just our low income students, but those at all ends of the spectrum and what I call gap families. who make too much for the scholarship programs that are generally available, but not enough to afford private school. Choice is not just for low income, it's not just for the wealthy, the way it is in many of these states, it's for everyone. And we see in states like Florida and Arizona, parents respond by immediately jumping in and signing up. And vendors respond by coming into those states and offering high quality options that are available to both low income and middle income families.
So I love that. When you mention the gap families, I think a lot of families who are watching this program will be jumping, they're kind of like, wait a second, that's me. These are families who often aren't targeted by government intervention. They don't fall into safety net programs. They are not mentioned when politicians are talking about programs that they want to launch. Programs are usually geared towards low income households, and with good reason. I mean, people who are low income really need a leg up so that they can continue on the meritocracy ladder that makes our country so unique and so special. You can start off anywhere in America and make it to the top. Your effort, hard work, and just being a part of this country can really do wonders here. But there is a place where you can kind of feel like you're running on a treadmill, not making any progress, and that's what you just described there. Having the universality of it means it really isn't picking winners and losers. It's just saying, here is what's available to every student. Are you a human being? Then this applies to you. So how do you get more of that? Because Leadership Institute, you work in all 50 states. You don't just pick and choose where you locate your programming. You've been here to Missouri many times, training leaders, talking to people about running for school board. But how do people who are in states that don't have these programs get access to Leadership Institute's resources to get more of what you're doing in Texas available to their state?
Well, and that's what I was going to say. Exactly what we're doing in Texas from an advocacy standpoint. First of all, starting with the governor, getting the right people elected, which is what Leadership Institute also trains people to do, right? Working on campaigns or being a candidate themselves, whether that means for their local school board or to help a governor like Governor Abbott get elected who's going to push for these things. That's the most important thing, is to be engaged on these issues and force candidates, whether they're for school board or governor, to take a position on school choice and ensure that they do align with the way that our country must go towards education freedom. And unfortunately, even in Texas, with the bill that we see that has already passed the Senate and rural Republicans are blocking in the House, that bill only applies to 2% of Texas's 6 million students. 62,000 students will get school choice. As we've just talked about, that's nowhere near enough. It's not going to bring the free market competition into the space. And so in every single state, yes, you do have to get your foot in the door by electing the right people and advocating for these policies. But people have to be bold, especially our politicians, and not settle for 2%. We have to have more competition in this space. Parents can point to the performance of their local public schools. But for me, I had a great performing public school for my child, but it didn't work for him. And I think those personal stories of how school choice is working for people or not working if they don't have it available is what helps to turn the tide.
Yeah, and I love that. I think, and especially your own personal experience with this. So I know, and we only have a couple of minutes left here, but I have to squeeze this in, Erica. Your personal experience is that, like many families, most families, when you have more than one child, you have more than one educational need. So you'll have maybe even all of your children having a special dispensation, something that they need from the educational system, and you use that to propel your work from the financial sector into education. Give us the website for Optima Ed and help us to understand a little bit more about that as we close out here.
Well, Optima Ed is the power behind Optima Academy Online, and optimaacademy.online is the website where parents can learn more about it. We are a nationally available school choice, and we're going into every state, especially those where public funding is available, to make a classical liberal arts education available tuition free to every family. So as you mentioned earlier, there are states that don't have this option. We're going to work along with the Leadership Institute to help make those funds available to families in any way that we can. But if you're in Florida, Arizona, other school choice states, and hopefully soon Texas, you can access Optima Academy online tuition free. And you can also purchase it as a parent if need be. But that is what we are doing. We're advocating for the availability of tuition free options for families all over the country. And we're putting our money where our mouth is by offering Optima Academy Online, a classical tuition free, the world's first VR school available to every family in our nation.
Erika Donald, thank you so much for joining us from Leadership Institute. Optima Ed sounds fantastic, and you can find out more about it on her website, optimaed.org. We will be back with more SNC Tonight right after this.